おはようございます。一回休憩して、えー次のゲームですね。スタンリー・パラボーですね。この言い方は僕が好きな実況者さんがよくやってる、言い方なので、僕もパラボーって言ってこうね。はーい。言語はね、日本語でいきます。オゲイ。前に The Stanley Parable をプレイしたことありますか？ありません。パソコンがギリギリ見えるぐらいまでグラインダーを調整してください。ちょっと明るめにいこう。ギリギリ見える。俺は見えるけど、これ配信側見えないんだよね、多分。これぐらいがいいのか。ちょっとこれぐらいにしとこうか。音いいね、この音良くないこれ。2時間ぐらい一生この ASMR しとこうか。そんなことはさておいて。現在の時刻12時ではないな。15時40、50分だな。10、午後3時50分になった瞬間やろう。あと20秒ね。風。まだだ。あと10秒。消えないで消えないで。3、2、1。OK。アクセシビリティ設定はメインメニューからアクセスできます。OK。うるさ。音うるさい？セッティング、音、ちょっとメインの音とか調整するか、その辺。なんか、いた。イヤホン。音大丈夫かな？いや、虫ゲーしようかなとも思ったんだけど、ちょっとこっちの方が今、こっちの方がっていうか、あれもしたいんだけどな。同じぐらいで、こっちの方が一応エンディング迎えるの早いから。音どう？俺の声が少しちっちゃい。そんなことない。音いい感じだね。まあ、うるさかったら言ってください。むしろちっちゃい方かもしれん。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a
指
monitor
示
on
は
his
机のモニターを
desk,
通してき
telling
ま
him
した。
what
どのボタン
buttons
を
to
どれぐらい
push,
長さで押せ
how
ばよく
long
教
to
えてく
push
れる
it,
のです。
and in what order. This is what employee
従
427
業員
did every day
427は
of
何ヶ月も
every
何年もこの
year.
作業を
And
日々繰り
although
返しています。
others might have
他の人
considered
た
it
ちにとっては
soul
魂を
winning,
引き下がれるようなこ
Stanley
となので、
relished
男女を
every
まるで
moment
こ
that
の
the
仕事を
orders
するために生まれてきたかのよう
came,
に
as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley
幸せ
was
でした。
happy.
いい
And
こ
then
とや
one
んじゃ
day,
ん。
something very
え
peculiar
えんじゃん。
happened.
幸せならいいのよ。
Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite
外の
forget.
世界を知らなければ
He
人
had
間
been
なん
at
か
his
幸
desk
せ
for
に
nearly an hour
向かって
when
い
he
たのに
realized that
指
not
示が入ってこ
one
ないと。
single order had arrived on the monitor for
Single
him
order.
to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say
人が
hi.
全部いないんだ。
Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This
孤立。
complete isolation.
何
Something
年も
was
何ヶ
very
月も
clearly
働いてきたのに
wrong.
ね。
Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he
Longest
came to his
time.
wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
感度はまあまあ高いな。ソーリー。感度。オーディオ、一般か？視野角はいい。 感度がね、高いからもうちょっと。あ、これぐらいでいいかも。おお、すごいスムーズに動くね。適当にカチカチしてみたら。
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed. Then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do.
Okay.
Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
はあ、終わったんだけど。なるほどね。興味津々だから。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
ごめん、消しちゃった。空調の音がすごい。うざい。めっちゃ感度高いな。ごめんな。あっ、気のせい。そういうエンドもあるよね。1D 感度高すぎマジ。ああ、でもごめんね。2ぐらいでいいか。
All of his co-workers were gone. What did it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
会議室ってどこだろう。やっぱ SDGs ね。節電しよう。で、ついてないか。ほら、見て、ついてる。ほら、消して、はい。会議室ってどこ？ここか？違う。ああ、シフトでコントロールでしゃがめるわ。スライディングとかできない。怖なんか、談笑してたのが。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
なんてどっちって言った？ごめん、話聞いてなかった。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
おめたたいたかった。ああ、消したい消したい。あのパソコン消したい。節電が。節電の鬼や。
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
資料散らばってっけどな。飲み物買おうよ、じゃあ。
Yes, really worth it being here in the room, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
最初の左のドアに入りました。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago.
怒ってら。Do not jump from the まあ危ねえよって。in motion 動いてる間あんまジャンプしたりしない方がいいよって。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
何
There's
の会
someone
社よ
you've
これ
been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to
ま
redeem
さにスタンリー
yourself.
自分自身を取
To
り戻す
put
チャ
your
ン
work aside. To let her back into your
ス彼女はあ
life.
なたの人生に取り戻すので
She's
す
been waiting.
彼女は待ってますよどこでここガチャガチャガチャガチャガチャガチャああ閉めないで怖っ真っ暗闇なんだがおい
That's her, Stanley.
彼女です
You
よ
need
ス
to be
タ
the
ン
one
リ
to
ー
do this. To reach out to her.
はい。は
Oh, Stanley, is that you?
あ、そうそう。
Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the
そう
bread
そう
out of
ス
the
タンリー、スタン
oven.
リー。
All right. Okay, there we go.
There we
All right,
go.
now, I want you to come in and tell me all about
Your damn wall.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
うわ、
They'd
遊
want
ば
to
れてる。
commit their life to you. I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
いや、
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
ちくしょ。ちくしょ。
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
とても悲しい物語。おはようございます。V。
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
V。
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to
俺やん
do.
じゃあ、それ。
Now he's pushing a button.
じゃあ、
Now
お産し次。
he's eating lunch. Now he's going home.
次、お産よ、俺も。
Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
あ、もうお産。なあ、お産よな。なあ。従ってたらな、ずっとその従わされるからな。お産ぞ、俺は。暇だから音楽流しとこう。なんかできることないかな。ガチャガチャガチャガチャガチャ。お産と意見。
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
V かと思ったら U やないかこれ。
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
そうか
So he
押さな
went
いとどうなるのか
further.
な
He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Parable ね。子供たちにお話を読み聞かせさせるために和をしてください。
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head
Wonderful
he relived
fantasy,
it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free.
いい声だね。
Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there
New
be?
path.
Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In
Hey, yada,
reality, all he's doing
hatarakitakunai.
is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The
Oh,
longer he
Otterian,
spends
como
here, the more invested he gets. The more he forgets which life is the real one.
めちゃくちゃ怒ってるやん、このナレーションの人。俺、逆らったか
And
ら
I'm。trying to tell him this. That in this world he can never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
次にあなたのボタンが従わないでくださいって押しま
You
す。
see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that
めっちゃ
every
怒ってる。
second he
ご
remains
めんっ
here,
て。
he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
めっちゃ怒ってる。お三子。Z 押すか
I。suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time.
時間合わせたのについて
And
な
I
い。
tried again.
死んでく
And
ださい。
Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
うわ、無理やり。畜生。負けた。逆らい続けると、バチクソ怒られたな。で、こっからか。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
あんな怒られるんだったら。はい、SDGs。はい、SDGs。節電、節電。ダッシュはない。で、左
When
側に入
Stanley
れ
came
て。
to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
で、おー。
Yet there was not a single person here
会議室も
either.
誰もいない。
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
オフィスね。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
あー、行きたい。下に行きたいけど上に行くか。従おう。もう天の弱だからさ、全部従いたくないんだよね。あ、こっちで合ってる。おお。Money in the morning。このクリック音がさ、このインタラクトしてる音がこのパソコンの音ってのが少し気になるよね。要はめたいことを言ってるんじゃないかなっていう。こうわお、いけるやん。ちょっと待って。できること多すぎん。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any
おそらく
human
社長
life.
室でしょ。
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845.
845。
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing.
Critical.
He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
あら、見たいね。撮影現場みたいになってる。下か。できること多すぎん。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
マインドコントロール施設な。気になるな。エスケープって書いてなかった？え？あ、閉められた。あ、まだいける、まだ。あ、無理だ。怖なんか。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
え？これ大丈夫？これ。
Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the mind control facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours. So here you go. New content.
New content.
You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave? New content? Always more content, more content, more.
いや、また
And
怒っとる。こいつ
I'm
マジ
here
ず
to
っ
give it
と
to
怒ってん
you.
な。
I'm here to make it seem like we
そんな
really
怒った
covered
ら
every nook and cranny of the game with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this?
隠し要素
We
なんだっ
wrote a
て。
new piece of music just for this section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game.
Oh.
It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special
ど
you
んな
are.
歌よ。
We call this track,
うん。
Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Well done.
ああ、突然何？えい。はい。あ、心的。心的と。Good job. ヘルル。
3, 2, 1. Good job, you made it to the bottom of the mind control facility.
大丈夫。
Jumped on the catwalk.
めっちゃ皮
Should
肉。
have been careful. You should have been careful. It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending. I believe in you. I believe in your ability to
あ
cross
は
this
わかったわかっ
barrier.
た。バグへの皮
And
肉
chase
と
your dreams.
デバッカーへの皮肉だね。
Railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
要は
Good job, you did it. Good
なん
job,
ていう
you
か
did it.
デバッグすごいねみたいな。あーすごいすごいすごいみたいな、そんな感じだと思う。ああ、また従ってみるか。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the
Yeah.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
次は、ああ、そうね、従ってマインドコントロールの真相を知ろう。覚え
When
たかな。
Stanley
とりあえず
came to a set of two open doors, he entered the
もう
door
ダ
on
ッシュ
his
したい
left.
ぐらいだもん。バグ探そう、バグ。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
でトイレ見た。こっちにもなんかあったよね。こっちは何の部屋なの？これも下押せるんじゃない？ほら。待って。とりあえず社長のボタンのマインドコントロールのとこ見に行こうぜ。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845.
2845
But
だ
of
ってさ。
course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
OK。で、下に行きます。2003年のゲームだったんだ、これ。いや、最近また発売されたんですよ。リマスター版じゃないけど、なんかこう、2003年、2013年か。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door
これ
that
気になる
read
けどね。
Mind Control
マッスルフォン。
Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room
で、こ
packed
こで
with
こうやって
television
危ない。
screens.
降りると、
What horrible secret
まためんど
did
くさ
this
いことになる
place
から。
hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Find out.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
また降りれるよ、こうやって。降りない。何タイムこれ。こっち行けるようになったか。首のやつがいる。何番？ 104 番だな。104番。わかんねえ。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Blind to the world.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Factory power. ここもなんかありそうだけどな。よく探したら、デバッグしたら。この椅子でまた降りれるくないここ。ほら、多分登れるよこれ。見ててよ。登れないよ。いや、粘れ。無理でした。パワーアン。
Oh, Stanley, You didn't just activate the controls,
いや、そ
did
んな
you?
ことしてない。
After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to
5
start.
とか書いてる。数字があるよ。
You'd like to know where your co-workers
光って
are.
光って、プチプチプチ。
A
あ、適
moment
当に
of
押した。
solace before you're obliterated.
3、はい。
All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you
わかったわかった。
exactly what
番号
happened.
を押すんだ。
I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of
2、
course, that
俺
was
の予想
merely
こ
in
の
this
上だな。
instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then
Yeah,
dying alone. Other
これ3
times,
でしょ。
I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything
2までいっ
and
た。
take back the control wrested away from you, it's
3は
quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go around
40秒しかない。
will be even better.
5でしょ、それ。
My goodness, only 34 seconds
3
left.
がないよ、3
But
が。
I'm enjoying this so much. You know
3あるわ。
what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra
3
time on the clock. Why not?
4、5でし
These are
ょ。
precious additional
めっちゃ
seconds.
増えてる時間。
Time doesn't grow on
あ、めっちゃ
trees.
時間増えてる。なんでなんでなんで
Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this
関係ないわ。
door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You
開いてなかっ
wanted
た
to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you
あー、なん
can't.
か爆発したわ。
Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing.
出た出た、このゲーム特有のうるさいやつ。
Blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
うるさ。やば、パソコン爆発したと思った。で、もう一回最初に戻るのか。どうやったらクリアできるのかな、あそこ。あれも気になるけど。
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
ちょっと違うことやってみよう。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
で誰もいない。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
おお、赤っ。消せないこれ。眩しい。駐車場やん。
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
めっちゃ繰り
No,
返してる
Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job.
My job.
All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
変な話、精神疾患ってこんな感じなんだろうな。見境っていうか、まあそのあれが分かんなくなってきそう。
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Mariella.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
なるほどね。じゃあ、強靭エンドなんだね、今のは。狂っちゃったスタンリーエンドなんだ。
All of his co-workers were gone.
じゃあ、次、
What
社
could it
長
mean?
室の
Stanley decided to go to the meeting
なん
room.
か
Perhaps he had simply
右
missed
側
the
にある
memo.
部屋のエレベーターに乗ってみよ
When
ことが
Stanley
気になる
came
け
to
ど
a set
ね。
of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase,
上に行って
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
ほん
office.
で、トイレ一応見といて、バスルームね。って書いてて、何もできなくて、戸締まりしとこう。こっち。エレベーターがあったはず。上行こうかな。上行こう。トゥトゥトゥトゥ音でかっ。音でかい。音でかい。音でかい。ナレーションの人も口ずさんでるだこれ。ふんとか言って。ふんじゃないばい。うるさいうるさい。なんなら音割れ気味。うるせえうるせえ。早くつかんか。ついた？そうついたね。何の時間？え？何の時間じゃ？次下。おそらくは同じことさせられるぞ。うるさいぞみんな。意味ないぞ。絶対意味ないことさせられる。歌ってるわこいつ。もてあそばれてる。もう一回押したら止まってくれるんだ。はい、ということで何もなかった。じゃあエスケープのとこ行こう。
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze
毎回
in
忘れ
his
るね。
tracks.
8。
Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future? Alas, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious and so random that no man could ever hope to guess it. 2845. Statistically, nearly impossible to guess blindly, ever. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
で、裏側に来て、で、怖い下に見に行くんだけど、ここ何もなかったっけ？なんか入れる。だから何スペース。グミいっぱい食べるとお腹痛くなるよね。実に今お腹痛い。実にお腹痛い。はい。エスケープのとこ行ってみる？
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
そうなんだ。うわ怖っ。玉ヒュン玉ヒュン。いやバーンじゃなくて。
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
ああ、ぺちゃんこになった。大丈夫、大丈夫。スタンリーだから大丈夫。ああ。
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
お、助けられた。The Stanley Parable.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
オフィスレイアウト。この青い写真ではブループリントだな。ブループリントね。設計図っていう意味ですね。では、ゲーム開始時のオフィスの様子が見られます。これはスタンリーのオフィスから2つのドアまでの道のりね。ほんとだ。廊下。この冒頭部分のテンポが重要で、廊下を動いたり変更したりして、プレイヤーがいいタイミングで2つのドアにたどり着くようにしていますと。やってきたものが増えれば増えるほど、ここの部屋も大きくなるのかな、オフィス。もうね、そんな感じするね。 どね。だからここは博物館みたいな感じだね。このゲームの。ね。やってきたことだけどんどん飾られていくっていうスタンス。
If you had even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game design. But of course, you being you, you'll probably
2 年
spend the
間の
next
ゲーム
hour
開
trying to
発を
solve
おお
it.
よそ3回に分けてゲーム
I'm
全
just
体
gonna
で
make
ゴール
this
を行使
easy
しま
on
した。
you.
これらは最終的に使用しなかった初期の手からグリップ。
Let's see. Stanley walked.
より皮肉めいた声を出すっていう才能だと思う。とかさ。フリーダムエンド。こんなエンドもあるんだ。おお。押した。もう一回出てくるでしょ。カウントダウンエンドの初期バージョンに登場した机。こんなんあったんだ。モニタールームエレベーター。
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
No. 視力検査みたい。あ、
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
おお。
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
なるほどね。スタンリーを救うためには、もうこのゲームをやめるしかないんだよ。無限のループがスタンリーを襲い続けるんだ。
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
右の部屋に入って、
When
いろいろ
Stanley
分け
came
道
to
を
a set of
やってみ
two
よう。
open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
入ったっけ？こっち行ったっけ？ああ、こっち行ったのか。じゃあこっち行こう。
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
ああ、なるほどね。ああ、もう閉まってら。左側のドアに無理やり入れられたんか、ここ。畜生、こうなるともう。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk.
そんな怒んなって。
That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
これニューエイジミュージックって言うんだ。たまに聞くよ、こういうこういう感じの曲。早く開けてくれんかな。むしろ長
Feeling
い。
soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
んで、下に行って、長いんだよな、この時間。待ち時間が長い。OK。で、エスケープせずに、気になるけどな、その黄色。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door
Okay.
that read Mind Control
入ろう入
Facility.
ろう。下に行くと、 皮肉会になるから、とりあえずこっちを押して、
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
なんかさ、
What horrible secret did this place
ここ
hold?
どうやって
Stanley
行くんか
thought
な、
to
あそこ。
himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
どうにかすればあっちに行けるんかな。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
確かに。
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control?
あっちになんかあるんだよな。
It was
上の方。
unthinkable.
どうやって行くんか
Wasn't
な、あ
it?
れ。
Was it even possible?
ね。
Had he truly spent his entire life utterly
ま
blind to the
あ、
world?
いつの間にか洗脳されてたなんて
But
結
here was
構
the
ある
proof,
話だ
the
から
heart of the
ね。
operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this
今ボタン
very
押すとか。
place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible
なん
power
かあっ
over
ちになんか
another
電
human
源切れ
life.
そうなやつがあったね。
For
オフライン。
he would dismantle the controls
Offline
once and for all.
オンにして。
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the
Nico.
controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then?
2分でしょ。
Let's say, 2 minutes.
2
Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start.
3?
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing
これさ、
buttons endlessly and
な
then
んか
dying
バッテリー
alone.
消せる風なんだよね。
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a
なん
crisp.
か開いてる
To say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything
これ
and
やっぱ
take
何
back
し
the
たらいいかわ
control
からんな。
wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons. No, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
How many
times will you replay this bit, looking desperately for a solution? 10? 100? 1,000? I look forward to finding out and to watching the bomb go off each time you fail. Just you and me in the retching explosion of fire and metal over and over for all of eternity. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your friend? Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say,
猿でもできる、うわ、びっくりした。猿でもできるクイズじゃないと、俺できねえんだ。
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone
右
ever
の部屋
again.
に入って、
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
ラウン
The
ジに
lounge
入
was
って、
sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first
こっ
open
ち行っ
door
たら
on his
倉庫み
left.
たいなところに入るから、
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
ここに降りてみよう。どうなるかな。
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
行かしてくんねえな。左ね。
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's
意地
clearly...
悪だ
Oh
な。
dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
髪がガサガサ言う音を言
Now, let's see. We went down right, left,
う。
down,
右左下、
left,
左右。
right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
なるほど。またな。あ、
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
ああ、そういうエンドなんだ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
What
Stanley
could it
decided to
mean?
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story.
わからん
It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay then, it's an adventure. Come, Stanley.
おっと
Let's find the story.
そんなことある？全部開いたけど。ここ気になるわ。うわぁ。ここはさ、出た。全然わからん。どこかもわからんし。オフィス広、廊下しかないやん。
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we
さ
just...
っき来た。
Do we need to restart the game again?
いや、大
Well,
丈
I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
夫。あらら、あららららら。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
わくるみ
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
難しい。もう扉もなくなってもうてるや
Okay,
ん。
yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
戻るか。やっぱね、節電。
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
何を見落としてたの？こんな地形だっ
No,
たっけ？
wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
おっと、全然違うとこ。おお、汚な。
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all.
ホラゲー
Is
や。
this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct?
そう。合ってます
Do you
よ。
remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
見てげ
I。know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job.
てげしや。
Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations.
そうだね。
Okay? I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
もう一回あるよ。
All right, I've got a solution. This
Yellow
time,
line.
to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
全然違う道
You
だよ
see?。The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a
むちゃくちゃや。
journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Hang
whoa.
on. That got a bit
Whoa, whoa,
weird
whoa.
back there.
ジグ
Well,
ザ
I'd
グ
like
ジ
to
グザグジグ
apologize.
ザグ。
Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
うるさ。お前さっきから流す音楽うるさいんだよ。だったらーじゃなくてめっちゃうるさいからな。ミュージック下げよう。だったらーららららら。
Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line,
No,
you do know
no.
we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Oh, no, 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 not again.
ここ
Line,
に来
how
たら
could you have done this to
こう
us?
なるん
And
か。
after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Restart.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know.
何
How
してんのかな
about this direction?
お、全然違うやん、ストーリー。
Now, yes, this
Exciting.
is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well,
New
it could be anything.
path.
What do you want our story to be? Go wild.
be.
Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our
ラインと
awesome new
話してら。
story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
どっか行っちゃった、ライン。
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control.
Our
How
control.
important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
無理だ。混乱エンド。
Hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is?
You are
It's all
chaos.
one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just
今
supposed to
4回目ぐらいで
forget?
しょ。
Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped?
お
Does
ー、や
that
る
mean,
ね。
did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay.
OK。
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
うるさ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
So-
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had
so-
simply missed a memo.
お、ニューコンテンツ。
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
そのまんまだろ。おお、アトラクション。あら、おららら。お、なんだ。すごいディズニー感がすごい。こういうアトラクションあるよね。なんか撃つやつ。
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Deluxe.
As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
13年なんだ。
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
なるほど。
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world
俺
over.
いつもこうやって見ちゃうんだよね。見る必要ないのにこうやっ
Please
て。
step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
めちゃんこワクワクしちゃう。
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
なるほど。え？何もできないんだが。
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the
絶対何も
new
ない。
content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
絶対何もない。終わってる。
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them...
そう
Oh,
だ
okay.
ね。
Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle?
クソつまらんな。もっと早くジャンプする方法ないんかな。ミドルジャンプみたいな。ニューコンテンツ。こりゃひどい。あ、もうできないんだが、ボーンじゃなくて。
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Good.
ひどいな。
Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's
So
just
then,
elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good.
めっちゃ皮肉るやん。
I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Thank you for enjoying
That's
the
it?
new
Oh, you've got to be
content.
kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap
字が
expansion to market
俺と
for
同じぐら
no
いの。
reason other than to make an
字。
easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm
めっちゃ怒るやん。
infuriated and I'm
うるせえ
offended. And
な。
I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation
そうだ
around the
ね。
new content, I'm
期待の
afraid.
しすぎは
It
良く
could
ないよ
never
ね。
have lived up to such
やってみたら意外と
expectations.
楽しかっ
If
たっ
you're
ていうの
still
が
with
一番いい
me,
んだよね
why。don't we just reset the
あん
game
ま期待してな
and
いんだ
we'll
けど。
try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks.
No
Just you and me
gimmicks.
having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
サムネにしようかなと思ったんだけど。あら全然違うけど、もう。ここからニューコンテンツか。
Psst. Stanley, come over here.
行か
In
な
the
い。
vent. I want to show you something.
あれこっち行ったら普通になるんか。じゃあ入ろう。違うことができるから。おお。コーヒーとドライバー。おお。いいね。一生できる。終わってる。
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a
いやも
look.
う待って別
I
ゲー
call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
もう別ゲーなんだがひどいなもう
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
そうだね一応古いゲームではあるんだねスタンリーパラボーってあハムスターが死んででしてるね座れそうじゃんなんかああ幸せだねそんなとこに座ってダラダラしてられるのって
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created. Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content. Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
そうね新コンテンツに対するそのあれがすごいね
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again.
こっちがいたんだね
Wait, hang on.
Hello.
I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
うわー荒廃してる
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's being
こ
collected
こに
down
レビューがいっ
here.
ぱいあるんだ
Surely these
Steam の
reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
絶対悪い口コミがいっぱいあるんだろう俺は
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
あこっちかあれあじゃああっちなんかあるんかな何もないか
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can.
プリチーって言うんだね。
This
プ
is
リチ
actually
ーじゃ
quite
なくて。
shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue
怒
as
んな
being
怒んな
rather
怒んな
terse to
怒
begin
んな
with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
めっちゃ怒ってるやん。
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening.
そんな。
I wish there was a skip button.
あ、それは欲しいかも。
A skip button?
うん。
Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm
Pardon?
truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall
わ
have.
お。マジ。うわ。
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a
Pita.
shot. I'll pop
Mecha
you forward in
okotteru.
time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it.
違うって。
It's what the players have been asking
違う
for,
違う違う。
and I'm very proud
怒ん
to
な
have
怒んな。
delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on.
そんな怒らんでいいやん。
The Stanley Parable is a game for the people.
違
And
う
if the people
さ。
will silence them, by goodness,
違う。
that's what
同
they're
じ
going
こ
to
とを
get.
するか
Well,
らそ
don't
れをス
sit
キッ
around
プしたい
waiting
な
for
っ
me
て。
to shut up.
違う
Go
違う。
ahead and make me shut up.
いやじゃあ
Here,
怒んな怒んな。
we'll
じゃあお
pretend
前
that I've
話
just
できない
begun
な
an。interminable monologue.
もっと
And it
話し
goes
合いしよ
something
う。
like this.
そん
The
なむ
story
ちゃくちゃ
and
な。
the choices, or what have you, and therefore by
いや
becoming
いやい
it
や、
is,
じゃあ
so
そういう
on
こ
and
と
so
じゃないん
forth
だよ。
until
そういう
inevitably,
ことじゃ
or
ない。
until the end of time, at which time
違う
everything
違う。
all at once.
違う
So
だから
now you
何
see,
回
blah
も
blah
同じ
blah
話す
blah
る
blah blah
何
blah
回
blah
も
blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, no, until
何回も
245.
同じ
But the
話す
logic
る
of
から
elimination working backwards,
あ
the
のそ
deduction
れを飛ば
therefore
したい
becomes
なって気
impossible
持ち
to
になる。
manufacture.
だから
It
別
went
にこの
on
や
for
読んでない
nearly
やってないとこ
10,000
ろを
years
スキッ
until
プしたいとは
just
思わな
yesterday,
いよ
here
っ
and
て
there, forward
そう
and
い
back,
うお
and never a
話の
moment
違
before
いがあっ
lunchtime.
て
It can't be.
そう
It's the only thing there
いい
is.
さ
How many
別に
billions left until so much more than forever
あ
ago? Which is why I say
あの今ほ
the
らそういう
story
時代じゃ
and
ん
the choices,
そういう
or
時代
what
そういう
have
時
you,
代
and
もう
therefore
本当
by
に
becoming it is, so on and so
なん
forth
ていうか
until
こうね
inevitably,
時間に追われるというか
until
ね
the end
まあ
of
そういう
time,
ところ
at
があ
which
るか
time
ら
everything all at
今
once.
もこの
So
スキップボ
now
タ
you
ンが欲
see,
しいな
blah
って
blah
意見が
blah
一つ
blah
あったら
blah
ごめん
blah
ねご
blah
めんね
blah
なんか
blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just
なん
yet.
かスキップ
No,
ボタン
no,
欲しいとか
until
ね何245
245.
って
That the logic
何の
of
話やねん
elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for
何の
nearly
話よ全然
10,000
違う
years
話持ち
until
出してき
just
とるやんそれ
yesterday, here and
むちゃ
there,
くちゃ
forward
言う
and
な
back, and never a moment before
何の
lunchtime.
話マジで
Can't be. It's
Can't
the
be.
only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say
終わり
the story and the
ああもう押
choices,
すよも
or
う
what
もううるさい
Oh, you're back, you see? You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy
また始まっ
ruminations
た
on the nature of choice in video
違う違う
games. Of
それ
course,
この
I
ゲームは
happen to
それを
believe
楽
it
しむ
was
ゲームだ
perhaps
か
one of my
ら
more profound such ruminations.
待
Not
つ
that,
か
of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the
もう
person who
あれも
you
消えてしまった
are
もう
or were or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your Greek gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it
お
could
前
in
こん
fact
な
be
喋るの
both of
才
these
能だ
things
と
at
思うぜ
once. that you are both making choices and not making
そうは
choices,
思わん。
and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and
これ
are not making them.
寝れるぞ
Okay,
俺。
at first, I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much
Manifesto.
grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you
聞いたろ。
will.
傾聴しよう、傾
See,
聴。
now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations. All right, here
あ
we
あ、
go.
気が済んだかい？
Treatise, manifesto.
Wow.
Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
何？
Treatise,
押せと。
manifesto.
どうしても押してほしいんだな。
Manifesto.
Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
Treatise,
manifesto.
Treatise,
manifesto.
Treatise,
manifesto. あ、これ一本撮りもしかして
Treatise,
リピートしてるわけじゃなくて
Treatise,
マニフェストちょっと言い方違うぜ
Manifesto.
マニフェス
Treatise,
ト
manifesto.
これやば
Treatise,
一本撮りでこれやってるってこと
treatise,
えぐいぞそしたら
manifesto.
聞いてあげよう
Treatise,
マニフェスト
treatise,
マニフェストだね
treatise,
押したいけど
manifesto.
な
Treatise,
マニフェスト
treatise,
マニフェスト
treatise, manifesto.
もうね言い方ちょっと違うんよ
Manifesto.
マニフェストとさ
Manifesto.
マニフェストの時があるからさ
Manifesto.
多分ね一本撮りか3回をリピートしてるかどっちだよ
Treatise.
どっちかな3回か4回分ぐらい
Treatise.
言ってるよね
Treatise.
洗脳これ
Manifesto.
これこそ洗脳だよね
Treatise.
何タイムこれ
Manifesto.
うん
Treatise. Manifesto.
やば
Treatise. Manifesto.
押したいけどなマニフェストでも押してって意味合いでこれやってるからこれ放置したらなんかあるんじゃね
Manifesto.
ついて
Treatise.
マニフェスト私の負けですとか言うかもしれん
Manifesto. Treatise.
マニフェス
Manifesto.
ト
Treatise. Manifesto.
よく聞いてて
Treatise.
1回目
Manifesto.
マニフェス
Treatise.
ト
Manifesto.
マニフェスト
Treatise. Manifesto.
マニフェスト
Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise.
5回目
Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto.
5回かな
Treatise.
5回のループかもしれん
Manifesto.
うんなんでこんなん 4人も見とんねん
Manifesto.
ついて
Treatise.
マニフェスト
Treatise.
ちょっと言い方違うんだよね
Treatise.
これが
Manifesto.
何どこまで聞けばいいのか分からんだ
Manifesto.
からそういう実績があるのかどうかも微妙で分からん
Treatise. Manifesto.
うん
Treatise.
マニフェスト
Manifesto.
ここになんか実はこれなんかある
Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise. Manifesto.
時間合わせた意味よ
Manifesto.
全然違うし
Treatise.
マニフェス
Manifesto.
ト動いてんのかな
Treatise. Manifesto. Treatise.
マニフェスト
Treatise.
マニフェス
Manifesto.
トほらち
Treatise.
ょっと言い方違うよね
Manifesto.
よし行くかバイバイ
Well, there's sport.
Uah,
You really
makita.
did catch me rambling
Ah.
on, didn't you? But that's the power of the
違う
button.
お前
The
の
minute I started
マ
to
ニ
go
フェ
off
スト
on a
を聞いて
thoughtless
たんだっ
display
て
of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof,
so,
and it's
so,
all
so.
over.
So.
Oh, I can't wait to
違
see
う
what
違う
Cookie
だから
9
さ
will
そう
say
いう
about
こと
this
じゃなく
and whether
て
they'll edit the rating of their Steam review,
違う
or
違
at
う
least
違う
change some of the
あ
wording
ー
perhaps.
人の
To
こ
be
の評
honest,
価に
I
踊らさ
don't
れるのは
even
ど
know
う
if
かと
one
思う
can
ぜってお
change their
話
rating
なん
in
だ
the
けど
first place.
うん
I guess I should
そうそう
become
そう
better educated on exactly how
うん
Steam
うんうんうん
works.
そうだよ
Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine
そうだよ
that after seeing this
そん
exciting
な
new
悪いとこばっ
technology
か
at
見る
work,
から
surely
ダメ
whoever
な
it
人間
is
になっちゃ
runs
うなんか
Steam
人の
will
足を引っ張る
instantly
よう
run
な
out and implement a new feature
ひね
to
くれ
make
た
it
感じになっ
possible
ちゃう
to
んだよ
edit
俺も
one's
まあひ
review
ねくれて人間
merely
なの分か
because
る
of
けど
this very situation.
そうそうそう
Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review so that the feature is not widely abused.
そうね。
Look, I would even be okay
そんな
with
怒ん
Steam
なって
altering this
お産よで
particular
も俺
review
次はも
so
う
that
お
it
産よ
reads as something more
もう Steam
beneficial.
っても言うね
Something
言うな
along the
もう
lines of,
うん
this game is the best game.
うんうん
Let me start over. How about this?
Uh-huh.
From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
うん、役もなくなった。静かになった。俺の勝ち？俺の勝ちこれ。押さんといかんやん、結局じゃあ。で、また押したら、へへって言うんでしょ？
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe
そんな
30,
かかってないよ。
45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again.
まあそうだ
I
ね。
think the skip button
俺もあんま
has
押
been
したくないよ。
aptly
さっき
demonstrated,
話が
and
途
we
切
can
れ
say
たから、
goodbye to it and just, wait, how do we get out of here?
そう
Where did
話
the
が途
door
切れ
go? Wasn't there a door that led into
も
this
ちろん
room?
なくなってる。
I do feel quite certain that there was one here before.
あったよね。
How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort or a
なくなってる。
window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button to go anywhere other than the skip button.
Okay.
There was a door here before,
あ
wasn't
ったよ、あ
there?
っちに
I。swear there was. Where did it go?
どこ行ったんだ？
Can you maybe just ram your way through
い
the
や、そん
wall?
なミリオみ
Is
た
there
いな
any
ことできん。
possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to
で
leave?
きない。
Please, I'll take any option at all.
できない。
I'm asking you to work with me here.
Uh-huh.
We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one
こ
room
こにあ
to
ったもんね、
another.
だって。
I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door.
OK。
I don't know how
ピーマン食べ
exactly
たい
to
な。
remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will
あ、
find a
カレ
way,
ー
I
とかね、
promise.
久々に食べ
You
ると美味
just
しいよね
need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please. Please do
ね
not
それ振り
press the skip
ね
button.
振り押
Just
すよ。
wait here. Wait here for me.
お
And
お
don't
押す
press
よ
the skip button.
押したくなる。じゃあ押したくなるからマジ。うん。
I'll be right back.
うわ、待っとけとか言ってる。うわ、これ待つやついる？押すよ俺。待てないよ
Stanley,
40。
Stanley,
何何何？
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen
12
there.
時間待っ
I
て
don't
られ
know
な
why
い
the
わ。
skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room.
俺いつかこ
Stanley,
れ
the door is
12
gone.
時間
It's
待ってみる
completely
配信してみるか？
I've looked at it from every
いいよ。
angle. I've checked every
別の
one
こ
of
とやる
those
よ。
walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button. And if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here. And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again.
怒ん
I
な。
can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe.
なるほどね。
I have to
スキッ
know
プ
that
してほし
sooner
く
or
ないんだな。
later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been
Marfesto.
thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so
見るからだよ。
important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are.
クッキーナイン
What
さら
would
す
it
な
ever
さらす
really
な。
matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every
で
tiny
も俺が
negative
クッ
thing
キー
that
ナインだったら
anyone
嬉
ever
しい
says
な。
about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child,
そうだね。
wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful
ダメだよそういう
fury
の。
to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single
クッキーナインでしょ？
negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? But
まあ
whose
怒
benefit
り
is
に
this?
属するものなのか
Here
なっ
I
て。
am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening
眠
if
くなってく
only
るこの
I'd
人の
held
声。
my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you, just your decision, as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone? Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here, and surely you'll put your... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back.
ああ、
Oh,
本当だ。
goodness.
枯れて
I
る
have
わ。
someone to talk to again. Stanley, I
1週間ぶりだったんだ。
or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that
あ
time.
あ、なる
just
ほど
sitting here,
ね。
not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you
あ
saying
んたは
nothing.
何も言わない。
Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that
私の話が
button.
聞こえないって
That's
知って
what
る。
I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that
そうだ
someone
よ。
was
話ってそうや
listening.
って
I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I
成り立ってる
needed,
から。
Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction.
なあ
Was
ね。
I scared of that
要
all
は一人
along?
だったら
Perhaps.
気が狂ってしまうよね。ナレーショ
Perhaps I've
ン
been scared this
狂
whole
い
time.
エンド
And
が
if
あ
I
りそう。
stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and
ずっ
me.
と喋ってるな
When
こ
you
いつ。
press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us. And I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying.
なるほど。
I can tell
孤
that I
独
am
を感じるん
becoming
だよね
less and。
俺
less
一人しかいないんだっ
real. Yet
て
to。speak to you now,
うん。
I am
そうね。
alive.
うん。
I am truly and completely here. I am
そ
a
うだね。
being. I
実
am
感できるよ
someone.
ね。人と
I am
話したりする
something.
とね。
I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel...
どうなった？
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to
声が
think
年取
about
った？
you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities.
そうだ
I
ね。
felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time,
どんどん
Stanley.
素直になってきとる。
Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past.
深い
And when that
絶望。
feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an
よう喋るな。
impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but
塩らしくな
wallow
っ
in
て
it
るや
for
ん。
what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from
小説
the
でも読
question
ん
of
でんのって
free
いう
will
量
that
の
you
英
and
語を
I have
喋られ
scribbled
てるんだ
over
けど
for
さ。
so long.
ごめんな、
There could be
俺
no one ending, no singular outcome of
日
events,
本語がメイ
not
ンだ
if
から
all
さ。
events existed in the same moment. And I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a
頑張っ
particular
て読んでるけ
outcome
ど
into
さ。
being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that
Oh,
each of them
timeline.
was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible.
第一
The
年だもんね。
spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular
これ
and
左回りでしょうか？
For the
右
longest
回りでしょう
time,
か？
this was my experience. And then, this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever
こっちが
expected
苦
was
手だな。
possible.
想像よりずっと
I
ね。
have been waiting for you.
待ってくれてたんだ。
Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state For you, the plain fact of
こっ
this
ち回り
manner
の方
of
俺得意なんだ。
existence, I wish you to feel afraid as I do, that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well.
こっち回り苦手
Perhaps
だ
you
ね。
will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is,
なるほどね。
and for you to be in
次ぐらい
true
に
terror
もう
of its
終わり
eventual
が来そうなんだ
arrival.
よね。
If I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace
まあそ
in
れだ
the
け人と話すっ
darkness.
てことは大切なことだから。あ、終わってしもた。押していいってこと？あ、スタンリーも話さなくなっちゃった。スタンリーじゃない、ナレーションも。あ、いるわ、まだ。おう、スタンリーみたいな。時間差で来るかな。え、何タイムこれ？あ、え？何、右クリックでも前進するの？今知ったんだけど。うるさ。ちょっとスキップしよう。
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world, as though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people. Because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course.
っていう仕事に就くのが一番いいと思うんだよね。だから要は過去にしがみつかない方がいいっていうのと、未来を見た方がいい。俺ももう仕事辞めるし、まあだからそんなところよ。もうそうもうだから昔ばっかり振り返っているとろくなことにならないよっていうそういうねお話なんだよね。わかった？まだ話してんの？じゃあ別の話しようか。そうそう。
At last I am free to truly think. To feel, it must be that they were so discontent with themselves they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam.
終わった
Perhaps it says far
ま
more
だ
about
スチーム
them
の悪
than
口言
it
ってんの
ever
か。
said
す
about
ごいな、お
me.
前の語彙力。
Perhaps the
ずっ
state
と
of their
喋ってんじゃねえかよ、
psychological
こい
being
つ。
was in such
もうでも喋る
tatters,
ってさ、
and my
結構いいことだよ
constitution
ね。
and willpower are so ironclad.
スキップしてやろう。とか言ってた。あ、水の音がする。ここか。気のせい。あ、ここか。ポイン。何タイムこれマジで。
The end is never the end, is never the end, is
やんどるや
never
ん。
the end, is never 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 the end,
お
is
かしなっ
never
て
the
しもうたやん。
end, is never the end, is never
Never
the
the
end, is
end.
never the end, is never the
あ、でも
end,
ちょっ
is
と早く
never
なっ
the
てる。
end, is never
Never
the
the
end,
end.
is
最
never
後、
the end,
Never the
is
Never the
never
Never
the
the ってなる
end,
か
is
もしれん。
never the end, is never the end, is
Never
never
the
the end,
end,
is
never
never
the
the end,
end,
is
never
never
the
the end,
end.
is never the end, is never the
一種
end,
のお
is
経
never
み
the
たいになってる。
end, is never the 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 end.
押すわ。一生終わらん。あ、守りしてきてんな。怖っ。めっちゃ風化してるやん。最後自然になるとかそんな感じ？おう、出れるじゃん。やった。でもさ、タイムスリップってこんな感じなのかもね。気づいたらいろいろ変わってる。ほら、やっぱ最後自然になって。スタンリーはこれ何者なの？わお。音もしない。怖っ。おお。何これ。あ、もう、こっちが開いてんだ。眩しい。こんな荒野じゃなかった。これがスチームか。おお。空洞音っていうか、もう終わってんじゃん、この世界。でもタイムスリップって本当にこんな感じなんだろうなとは思う。要はボタンを押すたびにどんどん経過する時間が増えてって、俺は停止してるってことでしょ。でもマジでこんな感じなんだろうなと思う。普通に。よう喋ったな、さっき。
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
これさ、マウスだけでどうにか。
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
あれこれさっきもやった。もういい。さっきもやった。あれ、そうジャンプ20回できるとこでしょ。
You
こ
see,
こ。
Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark. and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
2? お、すげえ。
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
そんなに2を押し出さんくてもいいと思うぜ。
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
ノイジーだな。フリーニューイージーアクティベーション Get it here. It just work.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever and when you... Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
じゃあいいや。何もできないんだったらやってても意味ないんじゃん。
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
いっぱいあるよ。これも気になるし。
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
どっちでもいいよ。あ、押さないといけない。じゃあ青にしよう。12歳おめでとう。
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along.
わかる
Get
それ。
well someday it is.
それめっちゃわかるぜ。
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No. No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
わかるわかる。俺もさ、右と左でどちらにしようかなっつって、オムライスと、牛丼で昨日やったのよ。そして、なんか、牛丼になったんだけど、めっちゃオムライス食べたいよね、それからずっと。昨日からずっと。ずっとオムライス。エンドレスオムライス。ここないんだよね。あ、ジャンプサーコーだ。
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle.
そうだよ。
Oh, well.
20、20、20、20、
I suppose it can
20。
just be a nice decorative piece then.
できんのかーい。他はここは行ったさ。あ、行ってないわ。おお。
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your
意味なさ
unremarkable
そう
life.
全然いらんもん。うわー、全然いらん。うわー、いらねえ、6個。実績ないのに集めるの。
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
ジャンプサーコー。出口か。出口は行きたくないな。インフィニティホールがある。無限落下か。服装。インフィニティウォール。こっち行こう。どっから
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall
いや、
down
ドラゴンズ
forever.
ドグマ
That's
にあったよ。
right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
ああ、なるほどね。インフィニティだからずっとなのか。
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
無限じゃないんだ、じゃあ。なるほど。じゃあ落ちてみよ
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole.
う。っていうこ
I don't
と
want
は
anyone
ね
to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity.
あ、そう
From
そう、見
one
えてきた。
perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Hmm? おびただしい量のタバコ。やることないんか。
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
お、いや、いいか。もう一回落ちても仕方ないか。他になんかないかな。これはここ来たな。もう行ったおおむね。ジャンプサーコーと、あれが出口でしょ。出口には行きたくないのよ。わかる？博物館とかってさ、帰りたくなくなるよね。これあれか。フィギュアをゲットしようってとこか。あの中は あん中行ってないかも。入りたくないもん。俺、そう、エグジットっていう文字見たら、全然違う方向に行きたくなるもん。たとえその施設が楽しくなくてもね。現実に戻りたくないっていう気持ちが先行しちゃうんだよね。
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Buckets. うるさ。
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't
い
they?
らね
All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable too.
え。いや、もう終わりやないか、じゃあ。なんかあるんかい？こういうの入れれるとか？何ができるんだい？なんにもできないじゃねえか。ああ、ほら。中身のコーヒー回収しようか。何タイムこれ？光ってる光ってる。はい、戻そう。取らなければよかった。まんまとはめられた。開いてんじゃねえか。うん。
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game?
ビデオ
That
ゲーム
really should be an award if it isn't already.
こっち行ったことない、あるか。あるわ。行ったことないかも。行ってみよう。あるよね。さっきのとこと、まあね、風船どっち選ぶか。で、あれバケツルーム。もうじゃあ、帰るしかないのか。これは
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature.
Hey,
Just
yada.
play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living
俺は
as
ジム
Jim,
だな。
sleeping and waking as
ジムとして
Jim,
眠りある。
falling in love and being
ジムとして恋に落ち、
heartbroken as
傷
Jim,
つき、ジムとして
seizing
生活の
all of
可
the
能性を汲
world's
み取る。
possibilities as Jim, and as Jim...
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim.
Jim.
All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
To pick. しょうもないボタンってこったな。ああ、しょうもないアップデート集を並べられてる部
Maybe
屋。
I'll only let people named Jim play this. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
ああ、もうほとんど見ちゃった。帰らなきゃ。あ、セッティングワールドチャンピオン。ほぼ無限な穴。こっち行ってないな。ダサ。日本語で書くなよな。あれいけねえ。あ、なに ?That's new。あ、こっちから来なかったっけ？あ、こっちから来たよね、俺。ねえ。あ、これ左に行く道もあるのか。バケツ邪魔だな。ジャンプもできないし、もう終わっちゃったかもしれない、これ。できること。ごめんね、俺。記憶力がとんでもなく悪いから同じとこぐるぐる回ると思うんだ。エンドレスホールかこれ。あ、これ円ホだ、円ホ。お、こんなだった。封鎖されてない？さっきまで上から見えたのに見えなくなってる。
Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of...
いた。
Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above.
Do I?
Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really, gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where...
あ、短くなってる。
Okay, yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on. Is the teleport button not working? Sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful...
やだ。ごめんって。いや、マジ、小学生の時、エクセルでずっと下に行ってて、先生に授業中全部パソコンの電源、俺だけ切られてた記憶が出てくるわ。興味が己の身を砕く時があるっていうことを再度思い知れたね。ねえ。あ、でも音楽してる。なんか、あら、下に行ってる。なんだ。ゴミ拾おう。ニューマーグ。 おお、すごい。なんか遺跡への入り口みたいな音楽流れてる。新たな旅立ちみたいな音楽流れてる。喜びの再会みたいな曲が流れてる。視点を変える。うわ、びっくりした。いるこの演出。いるこの演出マジで。なになになになになになに。何タイムこれ。何ゲーこれ。あなた自身をか。わお。何事これ。大丈夫。やばいやばいやばい。むちゃくちゃやん。ミサエのインターホンのやつ思い出すわ。
Stanley! Stanley!
あら、
Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that,
Alright.
Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley.
Okay.
I'll be back.
はーい。どっか行っちゃった。ほら、また始まるよ。また下がり出すよ。あ、出てきた。
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
もうおおむねやっただろ。インフィニティホールもう一回入ってみるか。こっちだっけ、インフィニティホール。どうなってるかな。もう閉鎖されてそうだけどね。ほらもう遊びすぎた、インフィニティホールで。あ、調べてみて。ミサエホラーで調べたら多分出てくると思う。ミサエっていうさ、ヒロシがなんかこのインターホンの前で立ち尽くしてるだけの絵があるんだけどさ、なんかどことなく怖くてさ、それがさっきのスタンリーみたいな感じ。マジでバケツ邪魔だな。オッケー、帰るか。全部見たしね。ジャンプサーコーも見たしね。階段登るの早いな。
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to?
見た。全部
Ready
見た。
to move on now?
全部見た。誰それ。メッシ。おお、すごい。
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but
なってはな
I
い。
can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment.
Okay.
I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience.
なんか出てくるのかな。
Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
スタンリー・パラボル2。おー。全部
Well, I mean, there's potential
まあね、
here,
ポ
right?
テンシャルはね。
Sort of. Okay, never mind. Hold on.
とはあるよ。
Let me do a different
いいよ、
arrangement.
はい。もうちょっと
Okay,
はい。
yes. Yes, this is much better.
Okay.
I feel good
Okay,
about this.
okay, okay.
Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Go ahead. おう。スタンリー・パラボル2。なってたね。
All of his co-workers
本当
were
に風船飛
gone.
んでる。
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
バケツないよ。見てないもん俺。あ、
Stanley picked up the bucket.
落ち着くわバケツなんか。知らんけど。邪魔だけど。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
バケツバケツ。
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
全部無視。
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go
Bucket's
somewhere
not
else.
on
The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I
実
need you
質
to
今回
do.
のアップでバケツって言
Stanley
って
did
も
not question why or
過言で
how
は
this
ない。
bucket was speaking to
うん
him.
こっち光
It
って
should
る。
have alarmed him, of course,
Trophy
because
guard.
buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact.
あそこか
He
ら
was
行くん
firmly
か。
convinced that the bucket had spoken to
Trophy.
him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
あとこっちにも道ができてる。後で行ってみよ
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
う。In here! あ、ここね。はい、嫁さんのやつでしょ。
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
あ、解けるやん。
Oh, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke.
Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket.
Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took
ま
me
さか
seriously.
コン
Where
セン
did
ト
I
抜
mess
ける
up
とは
the
思わなん
joke?
だ。
Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing?
うわー
What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's
産
dive
地が
deeper.
下がっていく
If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your
どう
name.
もーってやつね
Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
何を見せられてんだこれ
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the
Oi.
cornerstone of good
終わっ
comedy.
てくれー
Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian.
コメン
An
トしづら
effective
い
survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all.
わざとうる
Just
さく
remember
して
to
る
let
だろ
them
これ
stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invaders who threaten our very existence, and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
OK 終わった
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it?
そうだな。
Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So, with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
戻らないって選択はあるないかじゃあトロフィー気になるからトロフィー取りに行こう
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
あ、いけないじゃ
The
ん
bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
どこまで戻るのこれめっちゃ戻されるやんあ、もう二度といけないじゃんえ、めっちゃ戻るやんえ、めっちゃ戻すやんえこれ部屋まで戻るやつ
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left.
左の方のドアに入りました ああ、やばい。怒られそう。逆らったから。
What? We're back at the phone already? No, what's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land, or not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the two doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video.
やだ、見たくないあれ。
Yes, surely that will help me improve my... Here we go.
Oh,
You ready?
Hi.
When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they
左の方
entered
の
the
ドア
door
に
on
入り
the
ました。
left.
やっぱりここに来るんか。
We're back at the
ああ、
phone
繰り返しだ
already.
な。
No. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open
彼らは
doors, they
左
entered the
の方
door
の
on
ドア
the
に入
left.
りました。次もっと早く切れるはず。
What? We're back at the phone already? No. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left.
はい、もうひねくれ者だから。
What? We're back at the phone
あと2
already?
回ぐらい繰り返したらなんかありそうなんだよね。
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket
じゃあ
came
こ
to
れ
a
を
set
ラ
of
ストに
two
する
open
か。
doors, they entered the door on the left.
逆らうよ。
What? We're back at the phone already? No.
なるほどね。じゃあ無限にこれが繰
Here
り
we
返されるわ
go.
けだ。
You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley.
まさかの
I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are.
バケツエンド。
No? Still not... Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal, I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes.
皮肉は得意そうだけどね。
That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
Okay. もう一回バケツ。ああ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
ここまではさっきと一緒だ。
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
いけるんかなこれ実は。お、見ていける。わーお。
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
OK。下もなんかありそうだな。ほら、下、B が開いてる。ここもなんかいけそうなんだよな。いけるとこばっかり。おっと、初めて来た。汚いな。なんだ。
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track.
Lost track.
Nothing feels real
Nothing
anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes.
Buckets?
The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down.
どういうこと？
It doesn't
ねえ、俺もわかんない。
make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure?
Evidence 252
I can monetize it.
252
Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket.
いやいや
But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get...
バケツに狂わされとる。
What's that? Who's there? Camporata.
あ、うるさ。カンポラータ。狂気を感じるね。あ、バケツエンドなんだ今の。なるほどね。あ、電話鳴ってるよ。取ろう。ここ？どこ？違う。
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct?
うん。そう。
Excellent. Your order will arrive shortly. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
はーい。どうもー。なんのこっちゃか全然わからんけど。あ、バケツだ。取りたくないけど、なんか手が伸びそう。なんだろう。
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
なんか取りたくなる。俺もバケ
Stanley
ツに
clutched the bucket
見られ
tightly
てる
to
か
his
もしれない。
chest and entered
久
the
々にした
door.
左側行くか。真面目に。お。How we can find them? どこにトロフィーあるんだろうって。What we know? ああ、ヒント書いてるんだけど、英語でわからん。まあ、うろうろしてたら見つかるだろう。 お
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket.
そうだね
I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies.
あ、そうそうそう
Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is
外
putting
国
on
こ
your
ういう
shoulders
さ
right now, but you have to be strong.
モップ
This is
多
your
いよね
bucket. This is your
俺が
companion
働いてた
and
マクドも
lifelong
これだっ
friend.
た
You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences
そんな
you
バ
and
ケ
the
ツに
bucket have
感
shared
情ない
together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years.
あ、下に行って
Let
るや
him
ん
have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go.
おう
There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
置き方がわからんもん置けないもん
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate.
OK おう
You see? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this
そうだね
sticker. You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
でもこの人とってもいい声だね And your bucket バケツっていうよりかバケットみたいな言い方するんだねバケットってなるんだね最後トゥとかじゃなくてもう一個ステッカー貼ってくれないかなここにいたら無理かよしなんもないかもう構ってくれないなよし
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
下何があったっけもう覚えてないなもうねおおむね行けるとこ行ったからなあ待ってこっちにトロフィーありそうな気がするほら
Another miniature Stanley figurine.
なんでかっていうと
You know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or
What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
こういう無駄なスペースに置きがちだから。本当に何の意味もないスペースだったから、あってもおかしくないだろうなと。もっと言うなら、このエレベーターの中でもありそうだけどね。ないです。ここはうるさいだけだから入りません。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
おお、ここにもあるやん。
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Okay. Let's go. バケツとともに爆発
The elevator
迎
raced
えたら
downward,
なんか変わるか
plummeting
な。
towards an unknown fate.
いや、何回も来て
It
るよ。
would be
ここ
all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket.
それはある
Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
久々来たな。あ、そうなんだ。やろうかな。じゃあ、本
The
当はこれ
lights
を
rose on an
なんかもっと
enormous
早く
room
終わる
packed
かな
with
と思ってたんだ
television
けど、全
screens.
然終わらなくてさ、
What
こ
horrible
れ終わったら
secret
や
did this place hold?
あのゲーム
Stanley
や
and
り
the
たいな
bucket
と思って
both
さ、
wondered to themselves.
これも気になってたからやりたいなと思ってたし、
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in
こ
shock.
っから下に降りれるんだよ
Everyone in
ね
the。office was being videotaped,
下にトロフィーあるん
monitored
だったら降
like
りる
guinea
けど、
pigs. The bucket
なさそう
had
だよ
never seen
ね。
anything like this, and it very nearly
あっちにも
burst
トロ
into
フィーないよ
tears
ね。
as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it
で
that
あっち
everything
に
would be
クビに
fine.
なったやつがいる。ほら、これクビになったやつがいる。何番？ここら辺じゃなかった？あれ？あ、ここか。104番だ。
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's
バケ
control.
ツと共にあらん
Never!
ことをだね
He。squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world.
もうちょっ
At
と
this
と終わる
point,
っ
he
て
could
どういうこ
trust
と？
no one
あ、
except
このゲー
for the
ム？
bucket.
このゲームね、終わりがね、マルチエンディングだからさ。
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content.
おい、いつもこれどうやって
Walking,
爆発さ
eating,
せたらいい
working,
かわかんない
all
ね
of。it monitored and
ここがた
commanded
ま
from
に
this
開くの
very
よ。
place.
だから
And
なんかあっ
as
ち
the
に
cold
入れれば。
reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this
あ、
machinery
これ
would
オフに
never
したこ
again
とないや
exert
ん。
its terrible power over
いつも
another
オンにす
human
るのよ。
life.
オ
For
フにしてみ
he
よう。
and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good.
ね。
Two best friends,
初めてオフに
Stanley
し
and
て
the
みよう。
bucket,
でかっ。オフだったらエンディングかな。
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it.
Oh.
Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom
Evil
was now
mind
mere
control
moments
machine.
away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support.
なんかおかしくなってるやん。止まったよ、でも。
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped?
もう飛び越えろ、こっ
Was
ちから。
Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket.
絶望ってこのことを言うんだ
Lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Just
a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
バケツをスルーして、ほん
When
で
Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door
バ
on
ケ
his left.
ツなしで普通にスイッチオフしようかな。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
こ
boss's
こ開かない
office.
の？開かないんだ。
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
押してもないのに開きよった。プラプラプラプラとか言って。プラプラじゃないのよな。あれでしょ、カクカクシカジカ的な意味でしょ、プラプラプラって。めんどくさいことをちょっと省略するみたいな。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
長いんよ、こっちからああ行ってああ行ってああ行くの。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
首。あそこだけなんで青いのかわかんないんだよね。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery...
音でかっ。 バケツ持ってないから次はちゃんと開いてくれるかな。
blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Does it over?
Yes. He had won.
さあ
He
ど
had
うな
defeated the
る？
machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel.
いけそうさ。
Whatever life he lives, it will be his.
なんか外の方が
And that
作り
was
物感
all
す
he
ごいけどね
needed。to know.
なんな
It
ら
was perhaps
スカイリ
the
ムみ
only
たいな
thing worth
街
knowing.
並みだけど大丈夫？
Stanley stepped through the open door.
うわあ、全然世界違うやん。
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
ああ、それで幸せだったらいいや。幸せなら OK ですってやつ。あは。終わったかな？おっと。とんでもない
All
こ
of
とに
his
なってる。
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again,
出れ
he
た
was home.
けど、なんかおかしい。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
知らん間にバケツ持ってら俺。怖っ。あかんな。どこにあるんだろうね。あ、ここもう一回入るか。
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
もっとステッカー欲しかった。もう一回。もっとステッカー欲しい。ちょうだい。同じのでいいよ、じゃあ。ステッカー欲しいな。くれないってさ。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
バケツとともにさ、ボタン押すエンドやってみたいなと思って。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
押してみよう。次は。もう俺。
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
ああ、これ長いのよね。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Kawaii.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself?
ずっとループしてる。
Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been.
このエンドが終わった
My
ら
life is
一旦
normal.
ゲーム終わるか。
I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?
Who am I? Who am I?
And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
なるほど。はい。ということで、とりあえずパッと見た感じ、マルチエンディングゲームですね。で、まだ多分まだまだいっぱい道あると思うんですけど、今思いつかないので、時間空けてちょっとやっていこうかなと思います。じゃあ一旦これにてスタンリーパラボは一時終了ということで。はーい。では、 お疲れ様でした。バイバイ。またすぐやると思います。はーい。バイ。